Hey you guys, welcome to my channel if you're new, and if you've already been hanging with me for a while, well, welcome back. I appreciate you guys all. So we have finally said goodbye to 2020. Happy New Year, you guys. So what a year that was. It was a year of devastation, of fear and panic and sadness and loss and separation from our friends and family. I'm sure everybody is happy to say goodbye to 2020. But I do want to say that I'm going to twist your perspective a little bit and hopefully shed a little bit of light on some of the good that actually, came out of 2020, because there is some. So that's kind of what this message is, to try to just, I guess, give you maybe a new set of eyes to look at this past year. Despite all of those negative things that happened in 2020, God promises to bring something good out of the devastation, out of the storms that bring devastation to our lives. It says in Romans 8:28, it says, God works out all things for the good of those who love him and who are called according to his purpose. And notice it says all things, so that has to mean the bad things too. That has to mean, the scary things and the sad things, the devastating things, all of it. He promises to make good come of it. So he can take all of that, he can turn it around, he can make good come of it. Our God is not in the business of leaving things messy and broken. He's just not. That's not how he works. He can bring hope from despair, and he can bring healing from the most messed up and broken situations. And for those who love him, that is exactly what he does. And I don't mean to bring I don't mean to disrespect anybody who was hit really personally this past year with all this COVID stuff. Maybe somebody who lost family members or loved ones, friends, or a job that they made a living on. My thoughts and my prayers go out to every single person that lost anything that was near and dear to them in this past year. So I don't want to invalidate anybody's feelings towards the year, but like I said, I just want to try to bring a little bit of a different perspective out about it. So yeah. I'm sure that we all wish that we knew why things had to happen the way that they did this past year. I'm sure we're all probably thinking, trying to figure out God's plan, like what was he thinking, allowing these things to happen. But in Psalm 147:5, it says, great is our Lord and abundant in power. His understanding is beyond measure. It knows no limits. So you see, we're not meant to understand how God works, how he operates, how he thinks. It says in Isaiah 55 verses 8-9, God says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, declares the Lord. Just as the heavens is higher than the earth, so are my thoughts higher than your thoughts and my ways than your ways. So it's not our job to try to seek answers that are not there to find. It's not our job to try to make sense of it all, but rather to just, have faith and believe that he is working all things out for our good when we love him. I don't care, I don't care how many bad things happened this past year. I don't care how terrible of a year it was. There's nothing that God cannot handle. There isn't anything that is too far gone or too damaged, that he can't still turn it around and, transform it and, make something new come of it, or make something better come of it. Our God is a God of restoration and transformation. And there's a quote that I read that said, God formed us in the world. And, it was sin in the world that messed the world up and made it, messy and messed us people up. But it's Jesus that can transform us. He can transform the world. He can transform us. So that's where our hope lies. So yes, because of sin, we live in a messy and messed up world, but let's hang on to the promise that is in Revelation chapter 21, verses 4-5. It says that, one day there will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the older way of things has passed away. And the one who is seated on the throne says, "Behold, for I make all things new." And so this particular chapter in Revelations is referring to the second coming, when Jesus comes back, and with him the new heaven and the new earth. And so, let's look forward to that. Let's look forward and stay focused on the promises of God that are yet to unfold. So I do want to take a few minutes now, like I said, and point out some of the brighter things of 2020. So instead of looking at how horrible it was and how terrible it was and all the bad things that happened, I want to shed some light on some of the good things. So it may have been a tough year, but if we look at the positive sides of it, which there is a positive to every negative situation, you just got to look for it. But we'll see that this year actually gave us all the opportunity to just slow it all down a little bit, to reevaluate things and reevaluate, what's truly important in life. One of the biggest things that I think that we got out of this year was all of us got a grander appreciation, for things. It shows past year has showed us to be grateful and truly appreciate things in life, especially, like the simple things, things that you wouldn't normally think to be grateful for or thankful for, like toilet paper, for example, or Lysol spray. We've learned this year to never take a second for granted, because life as you know it could literally change in a split second. And because of quarantine, we have a greater appreciation for our friends and our family and strangers even. Isolation has, opened our eyes and showed us what a true gift we are to each other. And, we'll probably never take for granted the simple act of, swinging by, like your mom and dad's house on a whim, or, stopping by your grandma's house on her birthday to give her a hug and wish her a happy birthday, or, going on a lunch date with your friend, or a handshake, or a simple smile even, from another person, from a stranger. When all of this when the COVID started and the masks became mandatory, it only took me a couple grocery shopping trips before I was coming home to my husband and I was like, I really miss seeing smiles on people's faces. Like, I'm a people person. I love people. I love to smile at people when I'm out and about, and I love when people smile back. That's such a small thing, but like, you take for granted. You go out in public now and everybody's all covered up and you don't see anything but their eyes, and I don't know, it's sad to me. Like, I miss seeing people's smiles. But let me see where I am. Yeah, and so we know now also to appreciate our jobs, even if it's a job you hate and something you can't stand going to every day. If you have a job, that's a blessing. That's such a blessing. We've learned not to be greedy and to understand, the difference the difference between want versus a need. And I think a lot of us have acquired patience over this past year, and we still are while we're waiting for all of this to pass, and but I don't think that anything ever truly goes away until we have learned the lesson that is there for us to learn from the situation. I read a thing that said that it's often in the unexpected that God can and does create the most impactful change in and through us. And 2020 was most definitely unexpected. But what we need to understand is that God, He doesn't allow things to happen without a purpose and without a reason behind it. He doesn't allow things by accident, and He doesn't make mistakes. God is wise, and He is all-knowing, and He sees the beginning to the end, and He sees the overall picture. And so there is a purpose and a plan behind everything that God does allow, or that God does. In this world, each of us, I believe we are exactly where we're supposed to be right now. Every single experience, everything that has happened in your life, in my life, from the time we were born until right now, when you're watching this video. Everything has happened exactly as it was supposed to, at exactly the right time, to get you to where you are in your life right now, to get you to the person that you are right now. And to prepare us for what is to come in the future, for wherever it is that we're going. We need to have faith in our journeys and have faith in God and trust that He knows what He's doing. We can trust Him with our lives and with every aspect of it. We really can. Because Jeremiah 29:11, God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." So that is a very comforting scripture. The Lord truly only wants what is best for His children. And I believe with my whole heart that the Lord used this past year to break us down, to break us, to refine us, to shake us up, to wake us up, to make us open our eyes. He is the potter and we are the clay, and He uses circumstances and experiences to shape us and to grow us and mold us and strengthen us, and to make us new into the person that He wants us to be, the person that He has planned for each one of us to become. I'm sure with everything that has happened, a lot of us, have asked the question, when is this going to end? When is it all going to be over? When are things going to be better? But when God isn't changing your circumstance, this was a quote I found off Pinterest, but when God isn't changing your circumstance, it's because He is more concerned with changing you within the circumstance. So your character, your strength, your integrity, these are things that matter to Him, because these qualities are everlasting qualities. These are the things that are important. The maturity, the wisdom, the strength that grows in us when we go through difficult times. These are things that we need in order to complete our calling and our plan that God has for us. And there was another thing on Pinterest that I found that I really liked. It said, sometimes we think we're in a dark place. When we're in a dark place, we think that we've been buried. And so I'm sure a lot of us think, this past year that, we've been in this dark place and we've been buried. But it says, what if we haven't been buried at all? What if we've actually been planted? And I was just like, I thought that was really awesome. Like, that touched me. Like, when you're in a dark place, don't think of it as being buried. Think of it as you're being planted. And you're going to grow into something beautiful and amazing. And so He has a specific plan and a purpose for each and every one of us and our lives. And so there is a reason and there is a purpose behind the pain that we all experienced, in this past year. I'm going to wrap this up real quick in a minute here. But I just wanted to remind you to try not to hate the year 2020. Try to be thankful for the changes that happened in you, outwardly and inwardly. inwardly with our minds and our hearts and our spirits, but outwardly as well, because, maybe you worked more on your physical health. Maybe you ate better, you learned a new instrument, learned to cook a new dish, play a new game or a sport with your kids, or, invested more time in yourself and in your family. Whatever it is for you. I don't think that anybody escaped 2020 untouched or unchanged. So be thankful for that, because change is good and it is a necessity in life. I know for me personally, this year was a year that I'll never forget. The Lord worked in me a lot, in my heart and in my mind, and just in so many ways, in ways not even, having nothing to even do with COVID. He just worked in me a lot, so it was a really transformative year for me, personally. So it's because of Jesus that I can sit here and say that 2020 was actually one of my best years. And so without him, I wouldn't be able to say that. So I just encourage you guys to step into this new year with Jesus. Follow him into this new year. Where he goes, you go. Most of you will be focused on promising yourself to eat better and work out and lose that weight and, prep those meals, which are all good things. Goals are good. I'm not saying goals are not good. Those are good things. But there's nothing more important in this world, nothing more sacred than your relationship with Jesus. And so if you're going into this new year with Jesus, then you're going into this new year with everything that you need. Everything you need. It says, seek first the kingdom of God, and all else will be given to you. All else will be provided. And so seek him first and just know that everything else will be taken care of. So you can walk into this new year without fear of what's to come around the corner, without fear of the future or what may happen, in the world or around you. You can rest in his peace and his comfort and know that he goes before you and he's making the way, he's paving the way, and you can just be worry-free. So start your year with Jesus. Stay with Jesus and end with Jesus. And then repeat these steps for every new year to come. I can't think of a better way to do life, you guys. So I just pray that God shines his love and his favor and his protection, over each and every one of you today and every single day coming into this new year. I just pray that life looks a little bit lighter and a little bit brighter for all of you. Thank you for watching my video. If you've watched it this far, I love you all, and we will talk soon. Bye.